Hey guys, welcome to this World of Tanks video. My name is True Voodoo, and today we're going to be taking a look at a new Tier 8 Premium American Tank Destroyer. This is called the TS-5, and it's very similar to the T-28. However, I'm going to point out some stark differences. This video will help you if you are planning on buying the tank so that you can make an informed decision. If you aren't planning on buying it, this will also help you to know what to expect when you fight it. So let's jump right into the gameplay. So we're going to jump into some close range gameplay. I was definitely putting this tank through the paces. I know it's a tank destroyer, and when I do play the T-28 standard tank, I do tend to play more of a sniper position because, well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about that later when we look at the armor. So I was not afraid to bring this tank into the fight. I wanted to see what it could do, and just right up front, this thing did not disappoint me. So if you want to talk about gun handling, he crashed into a teammate. That was awesome. If you want to talk about gun handling in a close range situation, this thing does really well. When I first looked at the statistics for this tank, I was a little bit nervous about playing it because I think the dispersion is a 0.44, which is very high. And there are times in this game where you will feel that and you'll kind of maybe be frustrated. But overall, in this kind of situation, what I'm doing here, this tank was awesome, and the armor on this thing really lets you fight well. I know it has a -5 for gun depression, 5 degrees of gun depression, and there's something about it where a lot of times when I play tanks with 5 degrees of gun depression, I feel very limited. But maybe it's the way the gun is mounted on the front or something. This thing felt like it had more than 5 degrees of gun depression. It could just be me, but up close this thing is a nightmare. The reload is very fast. My weak spot is effectively just my low plate, and I trust it to hit shots. There's no issue. And I reload so fast that for them to move up and get a shot on me before I can punish them for it because they have to hit my low plate, it really wasn't happening. So I was taking this thing into some crossfires. I was attacking people, and once you get your gun on someone with this thing, they just melt. They die so fast. I think the reload on this is a little bit faster than the T-28. And it's not crazy significant, but it's enough that I think it caught a lot of people off guard. So basically, anytime I could get this tank close to somebody, I was just melting them. They have to aim at me to pin me, and a lot of them will rush their shot, and they'll bounce. And I just have a huge advantage. I get so much damage on people for a little mistake on their end. It was awesome. I loved it. So we'll jump into a little bit of some mid-range shooting. So this tank does have accuracy issues with the 0.44 dispersion. But on shots like this versus a T-34 in the open, this is just free damage. I'm not going to miss that shot. If you're shooting at a big target like that with this tank, it's not going to miss. It's very reliable. The pen is very good. I expect to hit shots like that. Here's some shots on a T-54. This is at pretty long range. And as you can see, it aims really quickly, and the shells are pretty reliable. This spot was awesome. So he tries rushing me, and I'm just sitting in the middle of the open trying to back up because I knew this was coming. And he is like, oh, I'll just push in and I'll get behind him. But the reload, he had no chance. He messaged me after the game saying, geez, that thing shoots fast. And I was like, yeah, it does. So these are kind of like some derp clips. And this is where the tank struggled. I got into some hold down, cupola fight, turret fight, where my only shots I had on people were basically cupolas or the face of their turret. And I really did have a hard time hitting shots, which I think is fine. This tank makes up for it in other places. So if you're shooting at pretty big targets like that, or this tank destroyer, actually it is low plate, it's good. But if you're going to bring it up to a brawl where your only chance of pinning is a cupola, you do have a good chance to get beat, especially if they have a slightly more accurate gun. So now let's jump into some long range. And this is where I thought this tank was going to be awful. And I played about 10 games in it, and I don't know if on some of these shots like RNG was just being lucky or unlucky. But in general, at long range, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. These shots are all at about 450, close to 500 meters. And this is crazy. I actually hit his tank. I just thought, like, let's just see him testing this thing out, and I hit him. That was a little bit of a derp shot, but it was a tough shot. On the Scorpion, that was easy. This was a defining moment for me in this tank. I'm shooting at a YAG 8.8. I just had to stop talking for a second. It's just so beautiful. I thought I was going to miss one of those shots on that tank. I hit every shot. So let's take a quick look at the T-28 armor and compare it to the TS-5. So this is what the armor looks like when you're looking at a 248 pin shell. So that would be a tier 8 tank destroyer or tier 10 tanks. The low plate is where you tend to shoot. It can still bounce, actually. It's pretty strong. And I think because of that, most people tend to load premium ammo. So like, if I'm shooting the low plate, why should I bounce the low plate on this thing? So they load premium ammo. And this is worst case scenario. This is very high pen. This is tier 10 pen or tank destroyer pen with prem. It becomes a giant weak spot. And that's what most people shoot at this, because without prem, there really is no weak spot. So they load prem and then they can actually just shoot you anywhere. So that sucks when you're a T-28. You're slow. Your armor is not effective. So here's the armor on the TS-5. I thought this thing was going to be like the T-28, where as soon as they load premium, they can basically pin me anywhere. But look, low plate, yes, it's easy. It's actually easier to pen than the T-28. But what happens when they load premium ammo? That is incredible. The armor is essentially the same. If they load premium ammo, they still need to hit your low plate. Like maybe in here, like they can hit you a little bit better, but really they're not effectively gaining a larger weak spot, and the low plate is going to pen anyways. The armor on this thing is very effective. It's way more effective than a T-28 because they need to hit your weak spot or just not try to shoot you, or like try to hit your cupola. It's not like the T-28 where they just load premium and they're basically just pinning you on the superstructure. And because of that, I really enjoyed this tank. And I wish more tanks in the game were like this. You know what your weak spot is, and you can use it. And this tank lets you do that. And it was fantastic. Absolutely loved that they put a tank in the game like this. This is fantastic work from Wargaming. So happy about it. I'm so happy about this. So we're going to jump into some just straight gameplay in this thing. When I first saw that this was a tank that was dropping, I did not want to play it. I thought, great, it's a T-28. I'm going to be very slow, but my armor is not going to be effective, and this is going to be a nightmare. And this thing actually blew me away, guys. I'm not a big tank destroyer player, but I did play this thing like a heavy a lot of the time, and it was very impressive. So with the armor, and this is what I like about it, they have to hit my low plate or they're probably going to bounce. And if they miss, I'm going to punish them because my reload is faster than heavy tanks. So I can get 2 for 1 with this thing. The mobility, it's slow like a T-28, but it wasn't painful. It was doable, I felt like. This is just crazy. They just start coming at me, and they think that they can get me, and the armor does just enough to keep me alive. The reload makes it so that their timing is off. They couldn't rush me one by one. And I just destroyed them. Catching an IS-6 in the open. Yeah, this tank was an absolute pleasure. And I didn't think I would say that. If you're thinking about getting this for the event, I would say go for it. I know it's like a marathon and they're very hard to complete. But if you can get some kind of a discount on this thing, I don't think you're going to regret picking it up for like half price. And I actually think that I'm going to play this more after playing my initial games in it, because it was so much fun. I love the design on it. I think that they did great with the weak spot because it's a genuine weak spot. If people shoot prem at you, it doesn't matter. They still have to aim to hit you, and that's kind of what World of Tanks should be. And that makes me enjoy this tank, and I'm very thankful that it was released like this. I think one of the balancing factors with the tank compared to maybe the T-28 would be a little bit of the derpiness on the gun. But the armor is better. It's just better. Effectively, it's better. So good luck to you guys if you pick this up, and hopefully this helps you so that if you are fighting someone with it, you know what to do to beat them. And I'm such a cheater.